Anthropology of the Bloody Point, and today we start a new feature. It'll be a series of videos called Shop Talk, Augencore themed discussions on strategies, tips, individual cards. Won't be restricted to Juggernaut Workshop, but just Augencore in general. Today I'm going to talk about a specific card, the Offensive Salvage Subsystem. This card is low-key extremely important for Augencore. One of the issues you face with Augencore is you have to have both units and upgrades, and effects and relics and so on, but you need the units and upgrades when you're Augencore, and having space in your hand for both of those is a problem. It's actually one of the things that Aftermath helped address with two of the cards they have, and the whole charge and reveal mechanic, which allows you to play certain cards from the bank, so you can have cards in the bank and not have to hold them in your hand and still use them. In fact, you can reuse one of those cards. Well, actually both of them. That's the Nano Forger and Ambush Claws. But we can also, in some cases, access cards that in our waist. This is trickier to take advantage of. There are multiple ways to do it, but I'm going to focus on the Offensive Salvage Subsystem, which for the remainder of this video I'm going to refer to as OSS. So the OSS is an upgrade, 3 cost, Augencore upgrade that you apply to a card, and what it does is when you attack, it will look in your waist and randomly attach an upgrade from your waist to the card. Now, one of the not obvious but extremely important things about this is the mechanic and how it works. What it'll do is it'll attach the card, and its effects will be enforced before the card interacts with the enemy card. So, for example, and you'll see that coming up here, if I were to attack with it and my unit doesn't have armed, but I know that I have a cutting edge in the waist which will grant it armed, it will apply that armed effect immediately before interacting with the card. And this plays out in different ways depending on the upgrade, but it is really important. And it's not extremely obvious if you don't play the Parallel or the Paragon, or you don't use this card, you may not have known. And you can set things up which you otherwise might not have been able to do. So you can see here that I've started early. I'm playing against Neas, so I want to keep its cards down. I definitely want to destroy that card, which will buff his other units. And I've applied Armed already, and now I'm applying Trusty Belt. So this gives me 2 attacks where I will not face return damage, and I'm able to clear both of his cards. So that's great. The problem is I have 1 health, and the card is very vulnerable. It has shielded, so 1 PSA it's not going to kill it, but a Gunslinger definitely will. So playing both of these important cards, Cutting Edge and Trusty Belt, early, you generally, at least I generally, assume that it's going to be lost, and I'm going to be sending them to my waist. But it's not a complete loss. I can still retrieve those cards. There's a scrap heap salvager, which allows you to retrieve a card from the waist, rather, and apply it. It'll attach it without actually spending the cost of the upgrade. And then there's the OSS, which will also pull it from the waist. Now, you have to be careful if you have multiple upgrades in terms of planning what will happen when you attack. In this particular example, we're talking about Trusty Belt and Armed from Cutting Edge. Attacking with a situation where you would die if you don't have Armed, it's a risk. So you want to make sure your unit has sufficient health to survive in case you don't draw the Armed card first. So I'm using John's Provisioner for that, where I will get additional health by attaching any upgrade through activating it. This has no cost. If I were using Charge to upgrade from the bank, I would have to pay the cost of the upgrade that I'm pulling, but just attaching one from my hand, there's no cost. Now, I can see how much damage that he has. I also have 1 defender, so I'm pretty sure that the Provisioner is going to survive. In the next turn, I'll be able to attach the OSS. I will get the health buff from the attachment, and then I will also get the attacks. Now, if I draw the Trusty Belt first and survive, I will obviously get a second attack from the attach, and my second attack will have armed, and I can plan for that in terms of the order of cards I want to attack and how much damage they're doing and how much health I have. If I get the opposite order, well, I'll get one attack with armed, but I will face no damage. So this is the thought process, and it's a little tricky, as I said, in setting this up, but you know, when you have a context of mulligans and going second, really custom, it's set this up, and you might. Okay, so we have our John's Provisioners surviving, which is great. I know what's in my waist, so it's just a question of which I draw first. A little visual bug there. So I'm going to pull Nano Forger, because this will increase my health and my attack. Nano Forger is one of those cards that you can play from your bank with a charge mechanic, and it'll give me a 1/1 buff with the activation mechanic on the Johns. That'll take me all the way up to 7 health, and then you can see I'm gonna attach the OSS, and it's gonna attach one of those 2 cards. Now, I know I'm going to get 1 extra damage regardless of what happens here. So I could have attacked the higher cost unit first, but I wanted to be conservative. Okay, as it turns out, I didn't need to worry because I'm going to get additional health from this card. Oh, another thing, which people who play Augencore may not know, is that you know, this upgrade viewing feature on the top doesn't quite work properly, but you can right-click the card and scroll through the upgrades this way. So that's really useful. I was tearing my hair out before I realized you could do that. Okay, so I get the 2 additional health. Looking good here, as long as it doesn't have Black Market Smuggler, or I think that's probably the only thing that could take out my card. And I know what's left in the waist to attach. Another thing you have to think of and keep in mind is when you're doing this with the Provisioner, you are attaching an upgrade, even though it's just being pulled from the waist, so you want to activate and get the additional health buff. As you can see, do the charge, reveal a card. Now when I attack, it's automatically going to get the remaining upgrade, which, as we know, is going to give me...
supply.
You can see here, cutting edge. Give me cutting edge, so the attack was armed. I took no damage. Oh no, it was Trusty Belt. Cutting edge I hit first. So I give a second attack. Now I'm able to take out his Paragon, and I'm sitting pretty armed Trusty Belt unit, which is always very strong for Augencore. And I'm able to continuously generate health. And there's the concession.
Surrender.
So as you can see, the card is quite good. Situational, but if you plan for it, you can really be efficient with your hand space.
Our machines march on!
And that's always important for Augencore. So here's the card: Offensive Salvage Substation, Subsystem. A 3-cost uncommon card from the fall set. It's an upgrade, Augencore specific. This card is not particularly high value. I'll show the current listings for it. This is as of January 6, 2025. First, look at the cost of replicating the card, of making echoes. That cost fluctuates wildly, but right now it's pretty cheap. So for this card, you can see it's not that expensive. So if you have one already, you can make duplicates. And here you can see the marketplace sanctuary, and it is not that expensive. It's about $3 at this point at the current value of Prime. but you can also just pick it up directly on OpenSea. And at the moment, due to Prime's current value, it is cheaper to buy it via ETH. Of course, keep in mind if there are gas fees and so on, and what that's at. You have those two options, Prime or ETH. So that's the card. Oh, one last thing. Let's look at the art for this card. The artist did a great job. The art card is pretty cool. Okay, thanks guys for watching. Take it easy. See you in the next one.